Well, I have never been happier to be proven so wrong. Now, this isn't a complete walkback. I still stand by my take there. The Martez sisters arc was way too long, and we could have really used either of the unfinished arcs, if a bit shorter and cut down to the essentials. But as I said back then, it really doesn't matter because the Siege of Mandalore is, dare I say, perfect. I was actually paranoid and foolish enough to even think that this might end up the same way as Game of Thrones. But really, why is it that these 4 episodes are considered to be some of the best Star Wars as a whole has to offer? Allow me to elaborate. When I said this arc was perfect, I wasn't exaggerating. Literally the only thing I can latch onto is Ahsoka thinking that defending Coruscant is less of a priority than Mandalore. And even then, don't get me wrong, she has a point that the Jedi are only doing this for political reasons to protect the Chancellor, but Obi-Wan for some reason doesn't remind her that it's Coruscant. You know, the capital with the highest population in the galaxy. But again, you see how I have to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find something to criticize? The reason this arc raises the bar so high is because it fixes just about every problem the series has ever had and is exactly what the final arc should have been. It's all no-nonsense, straight-to-the-point payoff that keeps you glued to your seat from beginning to end. It's focused on character moments exactly the way it should be. And when the previous arc was literally an amalgamation of everything wrong with the Clone Wars, it's almost like Siege took all of that and did it right. This kind of writing is exactly what I expected from this season as a whole. It doesn't waste any time. Look at everything that happened in the first episode alone. We got to see Anakin and Obi-Wan highlighting how arrogant and ballsy Anakin has become. His reunion with Ahsoka, which was perfect. Seriously, I hoped they wouldn't go down the route of some overly dramatic goodbye here, because they really had no idea things would go wrong. And that's what made it so tragic. That's why this reunion, being so reserved yet so impactful, is just about perfect. By the end, Ahsoka and her troops have taken most of Mandalore and are hunting for Maul. And oh boy, we have to talk about Maul. This is peak Maul. By far the best writing he's got. They caught the lightning in a bottle here. It was their chance to make the best out of him and they took it. Maul knows the plan, and even he doesn't know how it will transpire, which is why he doesn't feel like the monstrous maniac he's usually portrayed as. He's almost an anti-hero with a complex motivation that is more than just Kenobi! And you just can't ignore Sam Witwer's insane performance. He nailed Maul's desperation and fear, which really helped establish the best thing about this arc. The tone. If I were to name exactly why this is among the best Star Wars content ever, the answer would be clear. The perfect tone. It starts out jolly. Ahsoka's reunion with Anakin is full of optimism. They all believe this will be like every other siege. Watching Ahsoka and Rex kick ass is always fun and it all feels uplifting. Soon that changes. Even though taking Mandalore is supposed to be a huge victory, it doesn't feel that way. And that's when you know this arc is doing its job right. We all know what's coming. And the eerie sense of this looming dread is always there. It has you on the edge of your seat doing dialogue, for fuck's sake. It's exactly how the Empire's rise should feel. Quiet, inevitable, and tragic. How did they nail this tone though? The cinematography, direction, acting, you name it. But we all know what really stood out. The music. Honestly, aside from Ahsoka's theme and, this, I've never found the music to be among the Clone Wars' strongest suits. But man, this arc. I praised Ludwig Göransson for experimenting with The Mandalorian, and Kevin Kiner has done the same thing, and you can bet it paid off. He created a soundtrack that is nothing like Star Wars or any of his previous work, and that's why it's so great. Most of the time I felt like I was watching Blade Runner, and that's a good thing. Not just because Blade Runner has a great soundtrack, but because this is exactly how the Rise of the Empire should sound like. Menacing, quiet, suspenseful and melancholic. But it also knows when to go wild, and the use of John Williams' music is excellent. Hearing the original Star Wars theme over the title was, well,
a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And Order 66. Hearing Anakin's dark deeds as Rex opens fire on Ahsoka after telling her about Fives.
This shit good.
Another reason this arc hits so hard is because we've seen to what lengths Ahsoka and the clones would go for each other. The respect they have for her. And I just want to talk about Ahsoka a little bit, because I can't believe there's still people out there who actually think the writing for her in the early episodes was bad. Like, oh, I love Ahsoka, but she was so annoying in the beginning. Yeah, that's the point. The reason Ahsoka is one of the best characters in all of Star Wars is exactly because she started out as an annoying little brat who got to learn of responsibility and how devastating the war actually is as she progressively became more and more reserved. And eventually, you could say she became more mature than her own master. And now, we're cheering for her against Maul because of that. Can you imagine telling someone in 2008 that this little brat is gonna kick Maul's ass and it would be epic? They'd laugh in your face. Yet, here we are. If Ahsoka started out like this, she would be just, Rey. So the next time you complain about her being annoying in the beginning, remind yourself of that.
So, if you're a captain and I'm a Jedi, then technically I outrank you, right?
The Republic couldn't have asked for better soldiers, nor I a better friend.
And the rest of this arc is exactly what it needed to be. Devastating and epic. Once again, I need to point out the music, the rearrangement of Anakin's dark deeds, but beyond that, the original score, especially in the final episode, was insane. And not just the score. The cinematography as the Venator crashes down and Ahsoka and Rex open the hatch to see the moon with that music. Just fucking perfection. Rex turning on his brothers had all the weight I was hoping it would have. You could see it broke him, yet he knew how strong the programming was and that they had no other choice but to stop Jesse and the rest of the clones. Sam Witwer channeled his inner Starkiller as Maul brought down a fucking Venator, not to mention his hallway slaughter. Once again, I take all the bullshit I said about censorship in the last video back. The last action sequence just had me on the edge of my seat even though I knew what was going to happen, and the show has never looked better. Whatever new show Filoni does, he better use this style because it's just gorgeous. The animation has went so far from the 2008 movie, it's insane. Combined with the editing, it makes scenes feel incredibly smooth. The action is great, and bringing back Ray Park to do mocap for Maul, it shows, and it clearly makes Ahsoka and Maul's fight truly stand out as not only the best in the Clone Wars, but one of the best in Star Wars as a whole. The cinematography isn't getting enough love either. Seriously, compare it to previous seasons to see how far it has gone. The wide shots are beautiful, and combined with the art design, it's just perfect.
We're just clones, sir. We're meant to be expendable.
Not to me.
The ending itself, in a way, pays tribute to what the series has always been about and what it started with. The very first episode dealt with clones being more than just a number, or quite literally, well, a clone. It's a story the films completely wasted their opportunity to develop. The Jedi were the only ones not to see the clones as just expendable numbers. And the clones respected them for that. Yet they were forced to kill them. Even then we see Ahsoka bury Jesse and the rest of the division, showing them her respect. But the very next shot has the Empire discovered the wreck, and there's more to this than just fan service or just showing Vader for the sake of it. After the shuttle touches down, the first thing we see is the Empire's new Stormtrooper army. We don't know how long it's been since the end of the war, but it gets the point across. The clones were expendable, and that's their tragedy. They were forced to betray the only people that ever saw them as more than that, and then they were discarded as expendable tools used to lay the bloody foundations of the Empire. And again, the cinematography and music in this scene, it was just chilling. The perfect ending to the perfect arc. What more can I say? I couldn't have asked for a better ending. Some people think we should have seen stuff from Revenge of the Sith remade or seen from a different perspective. I understand, but no. It really would have taken away from how intense and tight this whole arc was. It's absolutely insane how amazing this show has become. I only hope after this Disney have full trust in Dave Filoni and give him a chance to do something like this again. He deserves all the credit for this, as he succeeded where many others would have failed. He managed to bring back the series and work with a limited set of episodes, and still managed to give us a perfect ending. And not just him, the whole cast and crew gave their absolute best. So well done, you absolute mad lads. Clone Wars is saved.